All right, y'all. We back. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Buffalo Fatherhood Initiative podcast. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Robertson. Glad to be back with all of you today. As Sherman would say, I'm here with my two player partners.
This is Marcus Strother. It's great to be with you all. Executive Director of Mentor California, and I love full-time father. Absolutely. A couple different things that we've been working on. So doing some work now with the Aspen Institute and the Aspen Challenge, and really leaning into school districts and thinking about how we use young people to actually really come up with solutions for some community problems or school district issues. One being around chronic absenteeism, another around mental health, even looking at what does it mean to try to find solutions around supporting the ocean, so on and so forth. So a lot of speaking going on with that. We have our next event coming up May 1st, which is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And then we are hosting May 4th, our Black and Brown Girls Mentoring Movement. We are having our Mentoring Girls of Color Restoration Retreat. And this is really an opportunity for us to bring 90 young women and girls together to really teach them what it means to actually rest and not be in a conference and looking into workshops and listening to keynote speakers who may be coming in to try to pour into them that way. But we're going to have a retreat where we're going to have napping centers. We're going to do a little bit of meditation. We're going to do some tree therapy. We're going to do yoga and boxing as some physical activity. And we're going to eat really, really well. So we're really excited about that. So some of the travel has been getting prepared for that and being in the space down in Upland, California with Youth Mentoring Action Network and their Youth Power Hub. Dr. Tori Wieston-Serdon, she's absolutely phenomenal. Her and her wife, Gail, who are doing amazing work. We're going to be hosting a retreat there. And then we're doing some work myself in Chicago Public Schools. And we designed a new mentoring program there. So been traveling. I'm actually originally from Kankakee, Illinois, which is just outside of Chicago. So been going back to my home space to be able to lean in and support the babies there as usual, as much as we could possibly do. I'm just trying to do my part while I got my time on Earth.
Man, I love that little piece that you shared, man. You mentioned the boxing and meditation and the yoga. It sounds like we got some similar ideas around how to kind of engage our young people and give them something a little bit different to equip their tool belts and toolkits with to be positive young people in the world and really bring change. I love the piece that you mentioned around involving the young people around helping to solve some of the issues that we have, right? Because that brings in that youth voice component. We do a lot of that with our young men that are involved here with Breaking Barriers. I feel like I've definitely seen you at the conference over the years, but can you talk a little bit about how, one, you got connected with mentoring, why is mentoring so important to you? And then also, I heard you mention, being from, areas close to Chicago, but you're in Cali. So how did that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I could definitely get into that. Let me first lift up that I appreciate the Muhammad Ali sweatshirt that my guy has on. Many people don't know about the shortest poem ever written, We, which is phenomenal. So I appreciate that. Shout outs to Roots of the Fight, if that's where you got the hoodie from, because I
Exactly where I got it
very well. Yeah, and that's what's up. I love it. So give a little background. I spent 22 years in public education before founding Mentor California. I was a high school teacher for 8 years, high school administrator for 9 years, then spent 5 years as district director of youth development. And in that time, it didn't take long for me to realize that at the end of the day, everything that I was doing was really about how I was loving and caring on young people. And that really started forming when my mentor, Dr. Tyrone Bledsoe, who's the founder of Student African American Brotherhood, said to me, hey, we're really trying to lean into the high school space. We want to create some mentoring programs, really build off of the curriculum we have. How can you help us do that? And really started Brother to Brother from there. Brother to Brother was the first mentoring program that I had. And then, of course, once we started that, young people, our young ladies specifically said, Strother, what about us? Like, you got this for the young men. What about us? So we founded Sister Circle. And I say my wife and I, we founded Sister Circle. My wife, shout out to her. She's a high school wellness counselor as well. So we started Sister Circle, which then led into our third initiative, which is LEAP, Leaders Empowered to Achieve Anything Possible. And that really gave us about 400 plus young people that we were mentoring in different ways. And it really just evolved from there. we knew that mentoring was something that was intentional for us. And what we really started finding was that we wanted to use love as a way to interrupt systems. And this is what we've been doing for the past 20 plus years now. I'll be in my 27th year in education in June. And really excited to be able to continue to do the work. But I'll go into your other part of the question about getting to California. So if you've ever seen the Freedom Riders movie, I am a Freedom Rider teacher. If you have not seen that movie, then I'm going to throw that to you as a homework assignment. But if you have, awesome. So I'm a Freedom Rider teacher, and I've been coming to California for years, training teachers in Aaron Gurwell's methodology. And every time I would come and get an opportunity to bring my wife with me, I'd bring her out. And we would always get on the plane going back to Illinois. And you all know this, coming from a cold weather space where you are, we kept wondering, why are we going back? What are we doing? Like, what is happening? And it really kind of stemmed from that. We were like, what can we do different? And how can we, give our kids an opportunity for maybe a different way of life that we didn't get to experience? And our daughter initially wanted to be a marine biologist. She did graduate with her degree in environmental sustainability. So she is doing work with the oceans and with animals and with the forest and things of that nature. But we said, being in Illinois, Chicago, Kankakee area, like she's not going to be afforded maybe some of the opportunities she could get in California. So very shortly after that, I started getting recruited to potentially be a principal at a high school here in Sacramento. And then a friend of mine who works for California Department of Ed was like, hey, you should look at this district director piece. And after being a high school administrator for 9 years, I tell people all the time, I wanted to get my Fridays back. If you know anything about Friday night football or basketball, your day at a high school on Fridays could be from 6 o'clock in the morning to 11, 12 o'clock at night. So went into the district space, took the position here, was offered a couple different positions here, took the one at the district level. And my wife and I didn't want to be 60 and saying, man, we should have made that move to California. So we stepped on the gas and we came out here, moved to Elk Grove where we live, sight unseen, had to really seen Elk Grove, but we were ready for that change. And we knew we had 3 beautiful human beings that we brought into the world who were ready and willing to move with us in the same way. So that's how we ended up here. But man, mentoring has been a part of our life and will continue to be a part of our life for a very long time.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible.
That's beautiful, man. I appreciate you sharing that. I feel more connected to you already.
I love it. I love it. That's what it's about.
I have a couple of questions, if I may. First one, were you ever and are you still a Bulls fan?
I will forever be a Bulls, Bears, and Cubs fan.
Come on.
Until the day I die. Absolutely.
We kindred spirits already.
Listen, my son is ridiculous about it. My son is one of my 2 boys. I have twin boys that are 19. He is at Arizona State University studying to be in sports management. His goal is to be a GM and for somebody's team. And I was listening to you all earlier. Trust me when I tell you, today he has been on fire because everything that is happening from Russell going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Kirk Cousins going to the Atlanta Falcons, tells him that his favorite quarterback in the world is staying with the Chicago Bears, Justin Fields. So that has been like his thing all day long, and then of course, lifting up all the other stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I mean, come on. I was in it. I was in the 90s, high school, college, Jordan years. I mean, how can you not be a Bulls fan?
Exactly.
That's great, bro. But the only thing about that is y'all been doing a lot of losing now. We ain't in the 90s no more. So I feel.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you think about Buffalo, like, can y'all say y'all won? Did y'all win? Have y'all won? We can at least lift up 6 greatest player of all time. I mean, y'all got Josh Allen, and I'm a fan, but come on.
Okay, the real question Jasir meant to ask you was, who's your team in the state of California? Because y'all got a lot of them.
Yeah, we do have a lot of them. Yeah. We do have a lot of them. So what I'll say is this: Mentor California, the organization that we have now, we have a great partnership with the NBA. And when I say the NBA, it is the NBA in its entirety, which also means we have a great partnership with the Clippers, Lakers, Warriors, and the Sacramento Kings. So I am a fan of all. I'm going to leave it right there.
Well, the Clippers got some, they came from Buffalo, so a little Buffalo love there, a little bit, just a little bit.
See, All right. I mean, if that's what you got to hold on to feel like a winner, we'll give you that.
I'm with you, brother. I'm a lifelong Bulls fan myself, but you said something about interrupting systems with love. Like, can you explain that in a little bit more detail? Because I thought that phrasing was just very awesome, and I feel like there's so much weight behind it. You break that down in a practical sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe 100% that I've been blessed with the burden of care, fueled by the action of love. And young people, at the end of the day, just are looking for somebody to be able to love and care for them in a very important and intentional way. So I, about 6, 7 years ago, really started pushing out and chanting out this hashtag Life Data Matters. And I really wanted people to understand that our young people are much more than graduation rates, attendance rates, behavior and discipline referrals. They actually come to us as whole human beings with stories sometimes in their very short amount of time that they've been on earth that are larger and more impactful than maybe some 40, 50-year-old folks. So we need to be able to figure out a way to respect the fact that young people are ready and willing. And if we know anything about change in America and globally, it is typically coming from young folks. So really for me, I leaned into the idea of leading with love in a very intentional way because of an incident that happened to me. In my second year as Dean of Students at the high school, the principal at the time decided that she wanted to, quote unquote, go another way. And even though my evaluation said I was an excellent administrator, she was letting me go at the end of the school year. And to make a long story short, young people got wind of that. In the morning of them finding out, by the afternoon, they had a petition. We had about 1,200 students in our school.
Wow.
They had a petition of over 500 young people that had signed and said they did not want me to leave and lose their job or lose my job, excuse me. And then the next day they came to school because they felt like they weren't heard enough. And when the first period bell rang, over 700 young people sat down in the middle of the hallway and refused to go to class. Wow. They did this for 2 weeks. Until after 5 emergency board meetings, I kept my job, moved up in my role, and stayed there for another 7 years. But there was one young man that was interviewed by a news station. And they said, "Why do you all do this for Mr. Strother? Like, what would make you, sit out of class for 2 weeks to make sure he keeps his job?" And his answer was very simple, and I've always remembered it, and it will never leave me. He said, "We were not going to let you take the one person away from us that we know loves us. That wasn't going to happen."
Wow.
And at that moment, I knew that everything that I did was going to be for the intention of interrupting systems through love. And that's one of the reasons why I ended up leaving public education, was because I felt like I was serving two masters, and I had to decide who it was going to be. Was I going to serve the master around the school system, or were I going to serve young people? And young people definitely won that out. So that's why I stepped away, so that I could step back in without feeling like I had my hands tied by what we call the school system and its very interesting parameters around compliance as opposed to liberation. And I want to liberate the babies in every way possible.
Wow. I'm blown away.
I mean, don't even know how to follow that.
Yeah,
I'm amazed. I'm amazed at that. Just speaks to the impact that you've had on young people, and in particular young people that you were working with in that school building, man. And that's truly amazing. Like, that's something that will leave just people speechless when they hear that. And I hope you are, sharing that with people, because that speaks to just we were talking about legacy last week around, someone in our community, Tommy, that we admire a great deal. And that's just, you talk about legacy, man. You left your mark there for sure.
Yeah, seriously. I think it speaks to the person that you are as well. And you led with a degree of authenticity that we don't often see in our community. For you to make such an impact that these children literally decided they weren't going to go to class, in a sense. You can imagine like the effect that might have had even in their own household. Their parents get wind of that. What you mean you're not going to class? 2 weeks? You missing school? Right. You're not doing this and you're not doing that. You made such an impact that they intentionally did that so that they wouldn't take somebody who genuinely and authentically cared for them away from them. And it speaks to the person that you are, first of all, because you have to be that way in order to make such a large impact. So I mean, brother, I commend you, and just listening to you, it's motivating and inspiring. Like, I want to be like that, you know? So thank you. I definitely thank you from all the way over here just for being that way and being able to share that story with us. That's incredible, man.
And kudos to the young people. Kudos to whoever taught the young people how to organize.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that was one of the things that kind of came out of it was, people felt like I told them to do that. And if I can send you all the link, but we actually, so a very long time, I tried to not necessarily put that out there, but my mentor said to me exactly what you all just said was, man, you got to share that story. That's a testimony. People got to hear it. So 2 years ago, one of the young men who actually designed, kind of organized the entire thing, him along with 5 other young people were the leaders of this. But he and I got on and actually shared the story really around how me as a mentor supporting them and why they decided to do the work that they did. But in reverse, he is now, he's a bonus son for me and my wife, a bonus brother for our kids. And he mentors me in a lot of ways because he's an amazing writer, who's done phenomenal work. And every time I'm pushing out an article or something, I may send it to him to say, hey, look this over. Tell me if it's hitting the mark, and really excited for that. So I could definitely send you all the link to that so you can hear from the young people themselves actually tell the story as well about why they did it, how they did it. And when I tell you, kudos to them for the organizing, they actually did a march down the main street of our town. They got a church to put up $1 million of insurance to be able to block off the street to do that. Like, they did some real work to the point where this will sound funny when I say it, but the blessing of that whole thing, one of the blessings of that whole thing was the second or third day into it. I can't remember exactly. I started feeling a pain in my side. And shortly after that, my appendix burst. I had to have emergency surgery and be home. So I got to really remove myself from the school setting because I was getting a lot of phone calls and people wanted to talk about it. And I really got to move out of the way and just let young people do what they had to do without me being maybe a distraction in some way. So kudos to my appendix for time. How about that?
Yeah, I know Antoine jumping at the bit because you mentioned your kids, and one of the things that we love to do when we get guests on is talk about have them talk about their relationship and what they love in regards to fatherhood. So I'm gonna let Antoine jump in here because I know, like I said, you chomping at the bit to get in there a little bit.
Well, before I go into that, I wanted to talk about one of the pieces, and you talked a lot about mentorship. And a few weeks ago, when we were doing this barbershop talk series, and we were talking about at one point just the importance of that mentor-mentee relationship, just helping the mentees understand that it's not always about how much they can be poured into, how much they can receive or be contributed to, but at some point, understanding that it's a reciprocal relationship, and just as much as you're giving out, at some point there should be also contributing in some way. And so to hear how your young people organized for you and advocated for you, and to this day you call him your bonus son, you guys had a relationship, that's super cool. And I love how you said how he's kind of mentoring you now, because none of us know everything, right? And so even the folks that we mentor, right, have things to add value to our lives, and I just love the way that you put that out there. But yes, as Daniel mentioned, fatherhood world space, like that's my thing, that's become Daniel thing and Jazir's thing in an indirect way too, because we're all fathers. But we do this thing, and I'll get to the point because we're getting close to the end here. But we do keep Toss ad in our fatherhood groups, and it's one of the things that you would keep from your father, right? And all of the guys have different relationships. Some of us didn't really have good relationships with our dads, but we're like, oh, I'll keep the work ethic thing, right? Like, he worked a lot. But some guys also had good relationships, right? So you may want to keep a lot of things. So what would you keep? What would you toss? Like, for me, it was the toxicity in a relationship that you had with my mother, like that back and forth arguing stuff. I don't want that. I would toss that. And then what would you add? Right. And my thing is always intentionality, right? Just being super engaged, super intentional about the relationship. So if you could just kind of walk through that for us from your personal relationship with your kids and so forth, that'd be super cool.
Yeah, and I'm talking about my father particularly, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm gonna keep tossing. Yeah. So the first thing comes to mind for me in keeping is that my father knew his lane. I'll say that much. So I will keep that he focused on me in terms of baseball. That was something that my father knew very well. He was an athlete himself. So he taught me a lot when it came to one, being an athlete, two, playing baseball, and coached me a little bit here and there throughout my younger years before even getting to the place where, I played college ball at my HBCU. So for that, I would keep that my father understood his lane. He knew what he knew and stayed in that space. I am like you, Antoine, in the toss. I would definitely toss the toxicity of his relationship with my mother, but also his relationship with myself. We have had a tug and pull still to this day in trying to bond. In many ways, I've been working, and he is so much better at it. At teaching him to say "I love you" to me over the past 7, 8, 9 years, just because that's something that he didn't do on a regular basis at all. So we've been working through that. So I would toss the toxicity part of it, but I'm glad to see that we're getting to a better place. And I think if I could add anything, was just adding that the recognition of time, because time can be a thief. And my father will allow, if I let him, a lot of time to go by without talking to each other. And I'm guilty of that as well, because sometimes I find myself becoming the son and feeling like, why my daddy ain't calling me? Like, if he gonna call me, I ain't gonna call him either. Like, I got to get in my head to be a better son. But I also wish that I could add for him, being a better father and recognizing time. And with him being almost 72 years old, he does have some health concerns. I would just wish he would understand the importance of time and how it can be a thief in many different ways. So I would love to be able to add a recognition of that. But I think in the adding of that would also be, him understanding yoga practices and mental health and kind of, my father has never talked about I don't know 9-year-old him. I don't know 12-year-old him, 15-year-old him. I don't know his story. There's so many things that question. I would love to add a lot of stuff. I would love to add his story. I don't know him as a young man. I don't know what he went through. I don't know those things. I know my father at the age that I probably began to recognize him as a human being, which he was probably 35, 36, 37 years old. So there's a big chunk of his life that I really don't understand, other than little things that I may hear from family. So I would love to add knowing, especially the way that I try to work with men in this space now, like who is 12-year-old you? Like, what are some of the things that prevented you from saying I love you to me, or prevented you or got you to a place of being toxic in some different ways? So that's a tough question, Antoine. You can ask that towards the end, because now I want to just keep going.
Appreciate that. Man, I wish we could keep going, man, because I actually want to pick your brain about the relationships that you guys have been able to build and cultivate with the professional teams at NBA. It's something that you guys definitely had the luxury of being in the state of California, whereas in Buffalo, we got the Bills, we got the Sabres, and the Bandits, and the Bison, but nothing to the level of what you guys have. So it's always kind of tough navigating those relationships. But when you have those backings of those big corporate entities like that, especially when you talk about mentoring and giving back to community, it's huge, because all of those teams have their own kind of initiatives surrounded around that too. So that's dope.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you, check me out on social media. It's just my name, LinkedIn, Instagram. You'll see a video that just got posted from the Sacramento Kings about some work that we just did with them. So it's pretty phenomenal.
I just saw that.
You just seen it. Awesome. Love it.
I'm definitely going to go check it out, man. And we enjoyed having you on the podcast today, my brother. Looking forward to connecting more with you in the future. Wishing you the best. Stay covered out there. Sounds like I'm not going to say sound. You are doing amazing things out there. And I hope those things continue and you continue to pour into the hearts of the young people and all the men that you're touching while you're out there as well, man. So thank you. We appreciate your time today, brother.
Absolutely. I appreciate y'all. Flowers to Antoine, who has been consistent and recognized something in me from us meeting at the conference, man. It's been great to be able to sit and talk with you all. And 30 minutes is definitely not enough. So please, let's keep in touch. Looking forward to talk to you all more.
Definitely. You have been an inspiration, brother.
Thank you so much.
It's been another edition of the Buffalo Fatherhood Initiative podcast. Sherman, we missed you today, but you are here with us in spirit. We see you soon. To everybody else, catch y'all next time. Peace and love. We out. Thank you for doing it. You forgot we had the break podcast. That's right, you know.
That brother is better.
I just wanted to say goodbye to y'all, man. Y'all be good. Have at any point, please feel free to reach out. Definitely looking forward to talking to y'all more, man. Y'all keep up the good work.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Yeah.
Talk to
Go Bulls.
Definitely dropping you a note next time I'm in the state of California.
Yeah, man. Hit me up. Let me know. Definitely go Bulls.
Go Bulls, baby.
I'll be cheering for your Bills to at least get to the conference finals. Y'all can maybe do that.
Y'all can maybe do that. He said y'all can maybe do that.
It's funny because
us
and San Fran in the Super Bowl this year just didn't. It ain't pan out.
Yeah.
But hopefully next year it will.
Yeah, them squares wasn't squares.
Right? One day.
One day.
Y'all be good.
All right, man.
That's all good. Stuff happened bad, brother. Seriously.
Yeah.
I got more questions.
I made it Daniel Potter for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably pretty. Y'all have that thing infrastructure and we.
But yeah, they have so many teams.
So many.
Right.
I need to tell like, okay, this is happening over.
Right.
I need to adopt it. So, y'all limited to what I can do. I can still do a lot more than what you.
That was good.
I apologize for the tech difficulty. Yeah, we got audit that invited for we want to audit. But